meeting here, but we're gonna start in a few minutes. Usually people start moseying in here one after the other. This one caption you see here, the Hurt twins, that's Jerron Hurt. Two of his children were taken from him in Maryland, and he's been fighting for his kids for almost a year now, where he was unfairly treated by a guardian ad litem that reduced him to one hour a week when he was primary caretaker for his children. He found out the mother was having some domestic issues with her boyfriend, and so he went to court to try to stabilize his relationship with his kids. And then the guardian ad litem took issue with him having gifts being sent to his kids and making money online, showing videos of his children. And she, took his whole life from him, his children. So he's on here and letting people in one at a time. I want to welcome Mr. Kevin Reed, who is a former candidate for governor, and Mr. Bogdan Lindell.
Kevin, aren't you supposed to be on the road to Washington by now?
We were supposed to be down there, but we're having a National Park Service meeting. So we wanted to make sure that all of the lovely strings are tied and all of that fun stuff.
Okay.
I promise you that if ever, whenever there's another march, it will not be me leading it. I assure you that.
Yeah. I'm reaching out to Adam. We're supposed to talk around like 2:00 tomorrow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Adam is a awesome guy. One of the guys that personally, so many people. Let me just make sure I say this, that I joined this movement in ignorance. I always tell people that this is a war you're drafted in. You don't volunteer for. Yeah. And unfortunately, when I got exposed to it, it was well after running for governor, because if I would have known, it would have been a fight and bringing it up during that time. The important thing to note is that Adam has been someone I've known in politics, outside of politics. He personally went to every state to talk to fathers and get them and to round up 1,000 fathers in order to participate in this, because the truth about movements is nothing attracts a crowd more than a crowd. And we realized that this needed the attention. And, I just had a conversation with him yesterday. So I'm glad that you're going to speak with him tomorrow. He's an awesome guy, absolutely awesome guy, and is going to focus on making sure that not just the national movement, but every state has a movement that let lawmakers know that there are people watching, and yes, there are powers that be that have the money, but we have the votes. And every dollar that you have cannot vote. It can get you attention, but as long as we showcase that it's not just one set of society, but it's a whole host of people that are affected by this, I think we have a good shot in creating the change that's necessary.
Definitely. Sound like a politician.
Sounds great. All right, so we want to get started with the meeting. I'm going to ask Mr. Let me see who's on here. Some of my team leaders aren't here yet. We're going to start early because we got to get off of here like maybe 10 minutes till, because we want to watch the debate so we can watch our new president speak, Ms. Kamala Harris. I want to say hi to some people that are on here. We have Zane, if you know the author, publisher Zane. She's here as a guest tonight, just observing us. She's in the background someplace. Adrian Latrace is our team leader from Illinois. Hey, Adrian, nice to see you tonight. Dr. Schultz is our team leader from Indiana. We have Mr. Jerron Hurt, you spoke to. He's our team leader over there in Maryland. I saw Jefferson on here. Jefferson is team leader in North Carolina. Michael Horn is a team leader in Dade County, Florida. Any other team leaders joining yet? So usually we have between 25, 30. some people go to Paris on the internet before they get here. They get here late, so it's okay. They'll join us. If you're here, Michael, go ahead and give us the intro as you normally would. Unmute, and
Bernard, just to let you know, I didn't go live yet either. Just
okay. When you're ready to go live, let's go live now.
Well, let's talk. Let's get the logistics out and then go live once we,
So I want to talk to everybody. When we go live, we're going to have about 65,000 people watching it. If you have Facebook, I want you to go to your Facebook page and hover over the Hurt Story on Facebook. When you see it's live on Facebook, share it on your page so it'll duplicate on everybody else's page, go live. That way our message becomes viral. It'll loop on Facebook, it'll loop on the Hurt Story page, and tonight we'll have, it's going to go to the Hurt Story.
HURTT.
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 The Hurt Story.
Also, Hope and Darkness is going to join us too, Bernard. Yeah,
no problem.
That's it. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
So, welcome everyone who just joined in and coming on. We're not live yet, but we're going live soon. When we're on live, we're going to be live on Facebook on the Hurt Story. I'm asking everyone to find the Hurt Story on your Facebook page now. Hover over it, and when you see it goes live on your page, on the Hurt Story page, then you share it, and then it'll be live on your page, and it will loop every day after this. Usually 28,000 people per day adding on to watch the story over and over again. So that's what we do to bring the message out. Yeah, Kevin, you'd say something?
I'm sorry, Dr. Bernard. I just want to make sure I got this right. HURTT Story, correct?
Yes, the Hurt Story.
The Hurt Story.
It's someone said send us the link. I can't see any link. Just go to Facebook and type in under the search the Hurt Story. And you're going to see it says Hope and Darkness, Parental. You can say the Hurt Story. Hover on that page, and when we go live, you'll see it pop up live on this page. Then just share it on your page, and it'll be live on your page simultaneously. And then it'll loop on your page. After it's over, it's going to ask you when to keep it. You say yes, it'll stay live on your page. All right. The format that we're going to do tonight, we're going to have Mr. Michael Horn is going to give the introduction of the Good Dad Act, talk about the rules and how you can speak and how you can ask questions. We do have a decorum here because there's a lot of people. We want to give everybody a chance. I'm going to introduce Mr. Kevin Reed and Mr. Bogdan Lindo. It'll be a short, brief introduction because I don't know fully everything about you guys, so you guys will be able to say something about yourselves. Then we're going to go through the format. Some people are going to ask questions. We have some dads on here. We have some grandmothers on here, some wives and some loved ones who have lost touch with the child that's been absconded from the father. And we have some dads, some good dads on here. Jerron, you want me to go ahead and start with Michael, and you just started after his intro?
Yeah, so after we start the intro, let's just go straight in the conversation.
Okay, you start it when you're ready, and just let us know we're going live, everybody. And then everybody, when you hear him say that, look for it and share, okay?
So, so after we finish with that, all right, so let's get, so who's going to go first? Let's not say the Good Dad Act first, that's already on the title and everything.
I'll talk about it. After Michael Horn is done, he'll come to me, and then when I'm speaking, at some point, you're going to start it live, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, like we always do. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
All right, good evening, everyone, on this beautiful day. Like Dr. Bernard said, getting ready for this epic historical debate. I'm excited for it. I got all my kids ready. But anywho, this is the Good Dad Act. We are all on here for a common purpose because we want to have fathers and parents to be a part of their lives. We understand that all of the brothers, all of the people online have an interest in having their children a part of their lives. We're here together to assemble, to have to give information, to share our concerns. We do understand that you are passionate about the situations that you're currently in, but as Dr. Bernard says, that we're in the same situation, different hat, and we can we can bounce ideas. Everyone is in one position or the other, meaning that like Dr. Bernard, he's been in everyone's situation, hence why we have this movement that we're having going on. And you as well, things that you're going through, somebody else is going through what you have gone through. So we're here to share what we went through in our opinion, and some things are fact and law. So we're not here to be egregious against one of each other or call names. We're gonna wait turns. If you would like to be acknowledged, just press this little hand that look like this, and there you go. And Dr. Bernard will acknowledge you. We do have guest speakers on. Please respect them. We're not paying them. They're being volunteers, and they're clearly giving their input. And more importantly, guys, we are going to be live in front of a lot of people. We want to have our group be represented well, and also to be welcoming so that other individuals that are in similar situation like ourselves can be able to come on, review, get information, and understand that we are passionate fathers. Last note, behind Dr. Jennings, you have the Good Dad Act. It's a book, another avenue that we have taken to bring out the awareness of our situations and many of the other people that we know situations. In this book, many of us that's been on here since day one, we're mentioned in the book. This book doesn't only talk about personal situations, but also give different perspectives and ways that we are all familiar with. So without that, I can't think of nothing else. Dr. Bernard, I hand it back over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. So our special guest today, again, my name is Dr. Bernard Jennings. In case you ever met me, I am the initiator of the Good Dad Act. Sometime last year or the year before, I had an issue where my son was absconded from me and taken away, withdrawn out of school without my permission or knowledge, and I had to find my son for about a month. Went before a Dade County judge. He said, Mr. Jennings, in Florida, there are no rights for you as a father until the courts recognize you as a father, which is called establishing paternity. And to do that, you have to serve the mother papers, and, through your attorney or through a process server, and do that. And after you're done with that, you have to come back again and serve it again so you can establish visitation. Right now, you can't see your child. I can't make them do anything until that happens. I said, Your Honor, but I'm the birth certificate. I've got a DNA test. I'm the father. She said I was the father. Sorry, Mr. Jennings, nothing I can do for you. Have a nice day. And she ended the Zoom call. I said, what? That's not going to happen to me or any other dad ever again. I'm going to change the law. I wrote a proposal to the state legislature. I got a Democrat to sponsor Christopher Benjamin, and then he got a Republican on the Senate side to sponsor it. We walked through the process. 8 months later, after some lobbying and work, the governor signed it into law 3 weeks early. It's called House Bill 775, the Good Dad Act. What it simply says is that when a father steps up and he's already on the birth certificate, he signed the acknowledgement of parenting form at the hospital at some point, he has the same rights and responsibilities as the mother does, as if he was married, although they're not. Full stop. About a month later, a bill passed, 1301, called the time sharing. It says, hey, when the father steps up in 775, he's entitled to 50-50 time sharing with a rebuttable presumption from the mother that he should not. So she has to prove on that day in court. Who has custody? What's the visitation? Is he guilty of child molestation? Yes or no? Is he guilty of domestic violence against the child? Yes or no? Is he guilty of domestic violence against the mother in the presence of the child? Yes or no, or to what degree? Then the judge goes to the 61 standards of best interest like every other state and determines what the visitation is based upon what the parents are arguing in court. Father's getting 50-50. I have 50-50 of my son right now, Friday to Friday. Having a great time, pick him up from school, do the thing, pick him up, take him, do his homework, make him dinner, have dinner. His grades have improved since that time. 2 months later, my son's in the gifted program. He's doing great. Grades have improved, math and English, more confident because his dad is in his life. How many people believe, give me a show of hands, that dads need to be in their children's lives? That's what I'm talking about. So that's what we're doing. We're not talking the talk. We're walking the talk. We did it. I got team leaders here from all over the country. We got Jefferson from North Carolina. We got Mr. Jerron Hurt from Maryland. We got Dr. Schultz from Indiana. We got Swan from Arizona. We got Moses there. We got dads from all over the country with us tonight, and some that are not present. Say hi to my son Ethan before he runs to bed. Say hi, Ethan.
Hello.
He's about to run to bed now, right, Ethan? Peace out. Okay. He's 9 years old now. It's been a good fight. And you know what? I don't regret it, because if I didn't go through this, I wouldn't be able to help all you dads. So you dads can have the same rights and responsibilities as anybody else that's a parent. And that's what we're working through. I want you to introduce Mr. Kevin Reed. Mr. Kevin Reed is resident of, I believe, Massachusetts, and he's part of the Libertarian Party over there. And he did a lot to get people to join the Libertarian Party. He's shooting for 17,000 members at some point, and they charge a small fee to be about the party. But he's about bringing people together, and he's about making sure that at a national level, the Libertarian Party is helping to represent the unrepresented and the no representation parts of the Senate and the House of Representatives in his state. Welcome, Mr. Reed.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say that I tell every advocate that I meet, yourself and Mr. Hurt, I stand on the shoulder of giants, and the work that you guys have done, not taking the family court and taking those rulings and essentially being a person that fought the good fight is the reason why I fight on with you guys. So I appreciate just the work that you've done and making sure that you made it clear that a father is a parent too. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much. And we've been doing this for the last 61 weeks. We haven't missed a Tuesday, including Christmas Eve, since the bill passed here in Florida, the Good Dad Act. And we plan to be every Tuesday until the bill passed in every state of the country. It's been a great haul. These guys have been dedicated. The majority of these men that have been a part of this from the beginning. In the beginning was like a lot of emotional conversation. She did this and blah, blah, blah. But we realized that that doesn't help you in court. In court, they want you to stand up straight and be factual, and be humble, and be, on point with what's going on. Anything else is a distraction. It doesn't help your case at all. We made the bed, and when you're sleeping in it now, dealing with what it is, right?
Right.
So we want to welcome Robert Coney, who just joined in. He's a good dad, moved from Georgia to Florida to see his kids. And we have another good dad here, Mr. Bogdan Lindell, who is a former citizen of Ukraine, I believe it is. He's got an issue similar to ours, guys. If we took the hat and passed it around the room, his story is the same as everybody else. So I don't got to tell you his story, because his story is the same as yours. One day he had his kids around. The next day, his mother decided she didn't want to co-parent anymore, took off with his kids to another state. He's been fighting 4 years to get a couple days with his kid a year, and he's having a hard fight. But instead of giving up and shooting himself in the head and calling people crazy and doing different crazy things, he's created a movement just like we've got a movement now. And he's got something going on in Washington, D.C. coming up with him and Mr. Reed. Go ahead, Mr. Bogdan. Say hello to everybody. What's the name of the event? Okay. All right, so guys, he's talking tonight about the Fathers Rally for Justice. I like that name, Fathers Rally for Justice. I'm on Facebook. Go ahead, everybody, share it on Facebook for everybody. Go to the live and share it. Fathers Rally for Justice.
Yeah.
We're live. Great. So we're happy to have Mr. Kevin Reed, former candidate for governor, and Mr. Bogdan Lindell, the organizer for Fathers Rally for Justice in Washington, D.C., coming up towards the end of this month. If you have any questions and you're on the Good Dad Google Meet, please raise your hand and you get to ask your questions about the event, what's going on. But Mr. Bogdan, what led you to create this event? Why should people be interested in it, really? Okay, and Kevin, so tell us, what culminated your thought to have this event in DC, and what can we do to help you?
Well, I want to make sure that I say that this starts long before anybody reached out to any politician. Unfortunately, one morning I got up and my son, Kenny, called me and said something happened. And my oldest son, Caleb, clearly I like K's, he was sitting in a car at a light, and they explained to me that a car hit him at 60 miles an hour. And when I got that news on that phone call, I realized that my first response wasn't, is he alive? My first response wasn't, is he okay? It was, I didn't even know he had a license. That's the reality of alienation. And the reason why that was the response is because I realized that as an alienated parent, you have a unfortunate situation where, let's face it, as men and as fathers, you're training your replacements if you have a son, and you teaching your young girl how to be loved and cared for. That's the job. And I never got to sit and teach my son how to drive. I didn't get a chance to be able to sit with him and say, hey, make sure you check your mirrors. You have to keep that information that seems benign, which he could have used at that time. So it really starts at that moment, because I was in a huge custody battle and I couldn't understand why the family court. And I'll be honest, it made me a little depressed, because I couldn't understand why the family court worked the way it did. And I knew something had to be done. And March, I was elected as the chair of the Massachusetts State Committee, and not having the legislative authority, but usually most people hold that position in order to run for higher office, and just so they can have a ability to say, well, I had a public office. Well, I realized that we had the power to propose legislation, and that's what we were going to do. The problem was most people didn't believe the family court worked that way, that what I was saying seemed so far-fetched because we're in America. So what do you mean? You have constitutional rights. What do you mean they just picked somebody up and threw them in jail? What do you mean they just relegated somebody to 20% of their parental time? Something must have happened. And to be quite honest, 2 years ago, if you would have told me that, I would have thought the same thing too, until I walked into a family court with my case law and all of these different statutes, and them telling me, hey, you don't have to tell us. And the reality is they were right, because one of the things when I got irate and I was in the court and I was saying, hey, you have to respect my parental rights, that officer, the non-biased person in that court, looked at me and said, where in the Constitution does it say you have parental rights?
Exactly.
So, like yourself, Dr. Bernard, I was like, bet, okay.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
So that being said, I realized that this is how the game was played. So I realized that I had to find out if it was just me. I got with a gentleman by the name of Tom Fitzpatrick who had this fathers group in Lawrence, and I live in Boston. And long story short, Lawrence is not near Boston, but I had a desire to find out if this community, the ones that you show up to every Tuesday, if it existed. And, he exposed me to this world. And I said, and I started listening to horror stories worse than mine. Tom, who never had a traffic ticket, doesn't drink, never was arrested, was put in jail over a corrupt lawyer that just basically wanted to use the fact that he had marital assets and basically chucked him in jail and stole all of the assets. And that's how this system works. That, the reason why you get 20% is because of something called Title 4D. And I realized that I had to show lawmakers, and with the position I had, I realized that I had an opportunity to walk some of them down to the family court system, get them to sit down and watch how essentially the sausage is made. When they began to see that maybe this guy is onto something, they went the next day because they thought it was a fluke, and they realized that no, this is how the family court system works, and it's not just in Massachusetts. So we had 3 nights of long hearings, and the question was, how do we propose a legislation to solve this? And let me just say, I'm a proponent of state legislation, and I believe that this issue is a all of the above issue, that we need to handle it at the state and we need to handle it on the federal level. That being said, in our conversation, we realized that we needed to create a law that said, or propose a law that said, hey, from the time of birth, it's 50-50. This concept of one parent having the other in the name of the child is clearly just to enrich the state, because the state has a vested interest. More importantly, we said also clearly in Massachusetts, where you do have joint custody if you're married, we needed to create measures that said also you have to have joint time. What's the use of having joint custody and paying, thousands and sometimes millions of dollars in child support, and you don't even have the fair access, that equal access to the child. So that was a problem. More importantly, we spent 3 nights realizing that there is no due process and that these laws weren't going to be enough. So we created things like we need to explicitly say, no, you cannot discriminate on someone based on their marital status. If that person had a child with a woman, that father or mother has a right to that child. That child has a right to access to both parents. So we said no geographic location. For whatever reason, if you have a car in the same state and you're 2 hours away, but you're willing to be in your child's life, or 1 hour away or 30 minutes away, they use that as an excuse. So we said we talked about reasonable access cannot be discriminated against. And then we talked about sex, creed, and all of those other things. But then we realized that the Title 4D is what really has to be reformed, not abolished. We're not saying, lawyers don't they go to school and they amass a debt and they're just trying to get paid. And we realized that on the other side, that the judges are essentially acting as money collectors for the state. So we said, okay, well, let's change the revenue source. We expand the rights to an attorney, and we basically say that, okay, it has to become a constitutional right that every person can opt in the $20 to have a legal plan in their insurance. So that way the money can come out of the premiums, not out of child support. And then all the people, whether or not they have children or not, but have access to an attorney, can now subsidize the Title 4D and let that be the revenue source, not child support, because it creates an unnecessary incentive to deprive a parent of the right to 50-50 time. Lastly, we realized that we said, listen, this notion of a civil issue leading anybody to jail without an egregious violation of contempt doesn't make sense. Nobody should be going to jail because they had a divorce, or this concept of throwing someone in jail because of the fact that they owe child support, oftentimes induced by the very court case, the divorce court case, doesn't make sense. So we realized that had to be included. And then, more importantly, the last portion, we realized that the crown jewel is to explicitly state that parental rights are a fundamental civil right, and that now removes all of the shenanigans. Because, for instance, one of the hardest problems that we face is there is no appeals process. Most of the times you get the same judge that gave you the ruling in the first place. Second problem that we realized was, if you don't explicitly say this is a civil right, when your civil rights get violated, you can't go to the Department of Justice and say this judge was doing that. You have to go to a room full of judges or a bar association where they're all, it's kind of like you're policing yourself. So we realized, yeah, we have to take that away. You come underneath. We realized we had to drag the family court underneath the subjection of the Constitution. And that's where all of this comes from. More importantly, let me make sure I say this. The idea that any person who only has a child for at best 17 years should be deprived of their child's life. If you only saw your child every other weekend, you miss out on pertinent things like teaching them how to drive, like teaching them how to change a tire, like teaching them how to tie a tie, like all of these things get taken away from you. Because in 20%, if you have 20% of the time, if you start when your child is a baby and they turn 10 years old, you have seen your child the equivalent of 2 years. That's how much face time you have if it's every other weekend.
And to flip the narrative, the child, because what will work in family court, the child missed out on that. The child missed out on the parents and the grandparents and the aunties and the uncles and the cousins. And the child didn't get to have the tutelage from his dad. The child didn't get to learn the respect of the authority of a male figure in their life. They grow up as a male or female. They run into a police officer in the street, and instead of seeing a man that needs to be respected and to listen to the authority of them and give them deference, they're an enemy from the beginning, and now it's an argument, and they get in trouble on the street. Well, I want everybody to know, if you're on Facebook right now, tuning in live, this is the Good Dad Act Committee on the Hurt Story. We're here live on Facebook. We have a couple guests here, Mr. Kevin Reed from the Libertarian Party, former candidate for governor in the state of Massachusetts, and Mr. Bogdan Lendl, who's both, he's from Ukraine, citizen of the U.S., has a child that has been absconded from him to another state. He's been fighting for his child, just like all the rest of us have been fighting for a child. And they've got a program going on in Washington, D.C., where they're asking dads from all over the country to join them in Washington, D.C. on the 27th and the 20th of this month, right?
Right. And
what do they call? What's the website that they go to?
Yes, so it's amendment28campaign.org. And this is the Massachusetts State Committee realized that if we pass the law in Massachusetts, a person can run to Rhode Island or New Hampshire. That we realized that this 50-head beast has to be cut. The head has to be cut all at once. And that's one of the reasons why we're going down there with 50,000 dads. Realizing that that's the number that attracts national attention. That's the number that's going to let people know in the middle of a election that, no, this is a very serious issue. And we don't have, somebody said, the civil rights movement was 10 years, and it took about 5 years to get the Civil Rights Act passed. The problem with that is, if you look online, there's a gentleman, I believe he's a power lifter, and there's a huge fallout with him and his son. And he's in his car crying because the son is flipping out, and he feels abandoned and all of that. That is after 7 months. That's not a year of him being away. That's not 2 years. That's after 7 months.
We're gonna take a question from Dr. Schultz, who's our team leader in Indiana, and we get back to you, Mr. Kevin. If you're just tuning in, some people just joined in. You're in the Hurt Story on Facebook Live through the Good Dad Act Committee. We're located in Florida with the Hurt Stories in Maryland. We have fathers on here from all over the country right now. We got Dr. Schultz, our team leader in Indiana. Dr. Schultz, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
I just wanted to add a couple of things to what agreeably you both were already saying. Basically, the literature shows that after 30 days, the children start having attachment pathology issues, damage to their neurology. So it doesn't even take 7 months or, about a month. Also, a couple of important things to add as far as the damaging effects, as Dr. Jennings pointed out, like the number of people in prison not having their parent or their dads in their lives. But it damages their identity development and their emotional affect regulation. So it screws up their brain's ability to form their own identity of who they are. It's permanent, it's irreparable. It also damages their ability with emotional affect regulation, meaning how they process stress. So how they have any relationship, whether romantic, personal, or business, talking to their neighbors. They're going to have issues with relationships for the rest of their lives. And it's permanent, it's severe, it's 10 out of 10, it's irreparable. You can try to improve things. That's what's good dads. What we're always going to do is do our best to try to fix things. But, set a forest on fire and see how many buckets of water you can throw on it. And does the forest miraculously grow back? You can reseed, you can plant more trees, but it's never the same. Just like your car, if you wreck your car, they can change the fender, but the car is never the same. And so this is severely egregious, what's happening to all of our children. This is happening to millions of people, including the entire family trees of people. In my opinion, this is the second leading global pandemic that's systematically destroying the family unit and we as humans on this planet. This could not be any more obviously clear that we need to do something about it, but as y'all are pointing out, it's on purpose because people have a monetary incentive to do these things. And the problem is none of us dads were aware of any of this till we had our children stolen from us. And it's only in a hindsight 2020 do you ever even realize. So I applaud all of you. Thank you, Kevin, for being on here, and thank you, Dr. Jennings, and everyone else on the committee. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you, Dr. Schultz.
I just want.
Go ahead, Lisa.
I'm sorry, I'm Lisa.
You have to raise your hand, Lisa, but we'll let you go because you're a female and we are gentlemen. Go right ahead.
My name is Lisa Goodpastor, and I was alienated from both my parents. I'm the author of Alienated When Parents Won't Parent, and I was invited to go speak at your event. And I'm very excited. I just want to give you guys some hope. I don't feel like I was damaged for the rest of my life. I was alienated for over 40 years from both my parents. I severely from my mom, and I stayed silent to protect my dad. So this girl went to protect her dad. So there's a lot of stuff in my book that may be more relevant, that I think this is one of the biggest reasons why the kids stay away. And maybe what is being said out there, yes, it's a horrible thing to actually understand what that ache feels like. Even at 50 years old, I still need my parents. You don't get those years back. Those years that are stolen are supposed to be where we are fed, the good stuff that allows us to go and live our lives whole. And it's like you're walking around with pieces of you that were never nurtured, if that makes sense.
Yeah, those are formative years.
Yes. So the first seven were really imperative. Thank God. And thank God I wasn't alienated from like my grandma, grandpa, aunts and uncles. And I joke and say, well, I'm Latina. There was too many of them for her to alienate, right? I'm joking. But I just, because I hear this and it's true, especially when you have a 7-year-old, but it's life experience. So if the courts, if these idiots would take their, if they would realize there is no time to waste, you have to get them before they age out of the system, because the kids just want to, like, we go to our peers, we stop trusting our parents and we trust our peers. So I'm here for you guys. I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to promote and get this message of how important it is that we need our parents. And just, it's really hard to watch your dad suffer. It's really freaking hard because he's a dad, but at the same time, we don't pick which parent we're going to protect. I think maybe it happens from my understanding, but just to reiterate what the doctor is saying, yeah, it sucks. It really sucks, but it gets better when the kids can accept that what's been happening. And that's what's really hard, because it's a hard thing to accept. So I just wanted to say thank you. And I'm here for all you dads. It's kind of cool because you grew up protecting your dad. Now you're going to try to help all these other dads with with connection. It's important. I haven't met, and it's true. It's really hard to be in a healthy relationship nowadays. And, thank God that somebody's taking the lead, but we need every father from everywhere, whether they,
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. We appreciate your comments. We appreciate you being here every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, the same link. Don't go, because we got more to talk about. I want to get some more people.
Bernard,
yes, go ahead, Jerome. Go ahead, Jerome.
Let me introduce Matt from Hope and Darkness.
He's, is he on now?
Yeah. Matt
from Hope and Darkness. How you doing? Say hi. Unmute yourself and show your face. Matt, are you there?
Sorry, guys. I guess I have to learn to unmute myself.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Tell us who you are and what Hope and Darkness is about.
Well, my role within Hope and Darkness is legal strategies, and essentially, we base our entire organization around the concepts of operant conditioning. We know that parental alienation, which is, depending on which group you look at or talk to, whether it's accepted in the DSM or not, is a real pathology. We take a different approach to it. We look at it from a behavioral standpoint. We look at the children because that's where the story is told. We don't go into court with our parents and try to prove abuse, because all abuse occurs in the dark. You can't prove it. But what we can prove are the behavioral manifestations present in the child. In every one of these cases, whether you're a dad or a mom, and the child is being used as a tool to create division in that attachment system, we see that those manifestations are always present in the children. The behaviors have to come out. All behavior moves in one direction, and that's the kind of the mantra that we have is we use science to generate the data points on these children, and then try our best to articulate to the court the real damaging abuse that's occurring in the family structure, and give them an out, a pathway forward. Usually that involves removing the child from a house that's on fire and placing them with the other parent, who in this case would be the protective parent. Generally speaking, it's the dads, and then working at getting mom the help that she needs to identify the patterns that she's developed, usually for her own pathology, using the kid as a proxy to fracture that attachment. So that, I know that's a lot, that's a mouthful, but that's kind of what we do. And Dr. Bill and I have been at this now for about 8 years, and we're not really well known, but we are known. We've had the opportunity to give testimony to the European Court of Appeals. We've worked in the UK, Australia, Cyprus, South Africa, Canada, the United States, pretty much all of the UK, including Ireland.
And where are you based, Dr. Dawson?
Both of us are located, Bill and I are both located in California.
California, okay. And you're in California now. So we appreciate you coming on here. Is there a website that we can go learn more about your organization?
Yeah, we are at www.hopeindarkness.me. That's hopeindarkness.me. And we operate under a number of different banners. We do have an academy where we teach the concepts of operant conditioning and behaviorism to help parents understand kind of where the source of all this comes from without all the psychobabble and mumbo jumbo that often accompanies the mental health excuse for this. We generally focus on the whys. It was interesting to hear the doctor speak earlier because he touched on the historical aspects of this. This has been going on primarily in California since the advent, thanks to Ronald Reagan, based on his own personal divorce, the no-fault divorce in California. That quickly came to the concept of parents patriae with the state, and they took over control of the family. They found very quickly under VAWA that they could monetize the family, and there's always an excuse to separate children from otherwise fit and loving parents because there's money in it. So
I want to thank you. Just in case you're just tuning in now, we have 1.9 million followers through the Hurt Story on Facebook. If you're on Facebook now, please go ahead and share the live so that other people will be able to have an access to this meeting that will repeat on your Facebook page tomorrow and the days after. But that was Matthew Dotson from hopeindarkness.me. He's talking about the pathological situations that affect children because of the alienation of one parent or the other. And it's true for both father and mother. We're here focusing on the alienation of the child from the father, but fathers do, in some cases, there are some bad dads that focus and alienate their child from their mom. But here on the Good Dad Act Committee, where we are now, we're good dads. We don't do that. We love our children, and we're doing everything we can to maintain contact with them or gain contact with them. We have a bunch of questions here. Earlier on, if you're just tuning in, we have Mr. Bogdan Lindell as well as Mr. Kevin Reed. We're organizing 2 days in Washington, D.C. on December 27th, 28th. We'll go over that a little bit more and give you the website for that. But Derek Pierce has a question, then Thomas Fitzpatrick, and then Marcelo Prado. They've got their hand raised. If you want to ask your question and you're on the Good Dad Act Committee, go ahead and hit the hand up button so I can get your question answered. Next, go ahead, Derek, unmute yourself. Tell us what city and what state you're in and ask your question.
Hi, everybody. I'm in Port Richey, Florida, and I just want to kind of thank Dr. Jennings for the awareness that he's bringing and everyone else that's come aboard. I just really want to piggyback on what Mr. Reed had said about living in America and not thinking that all of this stuff can happen to you. I am a registered nurse. I've been working in the hospital since 2000. I also am a cancer survivor, and I had one illegal ex parte used against me, where they basically took me, they sent me to a lockdown unit for 5 days, and they drugged me. I have no criminal history. I have no mental health history. So in America, in the state of Florida, you can actually be picked up by the police, taken to a psychiatric lockdown unit, and kept there for 5 days. I am, once again, a cancer survivor. I have one arm. I also have an autistic child. And I had to pay to see my children in an institution for over a year by someone who supervised me, not knowing the issues of what's going on. The whole thing has been fraud. And to this day, over 1,100 days, I still don't have a parenting plan because the people involved in the family court refused to acknowledge facts because they ordered a felony on me. It's called perjury by contradictory statements. Florida statute 837.021. Everybody can look it up. This is what the court does. They slam you, smear your name, take your children, and take your cash. I also want to let everyone know that if you look a little bit deeper, piggybacking on what Mr. Reed had said about debt. So in my situation, basically, I've had to dip into my retirement for my children so I could pay ignorant, lying lawyers to represent me who still haven't acknowledged facts. I'm on my second one, and we don't have a great conversation. But in a way, the family court is, and the judges are acting as debt creators, and the lawyers are the debt collectors. So it's being used with prejudice and bias and bigotry. And I just want everyone on this channel and every other channel that's going to share this to know that the family court is basically smearing your name and collecting your money and your kids on fraud and false accusations. Thank you very much, Dr. Jennings.
We recognize. Thank you so much, Derek. We're all facing something very similar to what you're saying. If you take the hat and pass it around, the stories change just slightly, but the main subject is the same. And thank you for coming on and sharing those. Next, we have Thomas Fitzpatrick.
Dr. Jennings, I'm sorry. Can I just say one more thing? Working in the hospital as a registered nurse and a previous registered respiratory therapist, I also want to let you know that if you give someone medications illegally or not for their good general purpose, that's a medication error.
Yeah.
So if I'm being drugged with false drugs, that's a medication error. I could have lost my life. I just want everyone to know the court did not care about me. They did not care about the kids, because if they would have looked at reason rather than the crime, they might have been able to save this family. But I'm still fighting these people currently. It's sick.
And Thomas Patrick is next, and Marcel. We only got about 10 minutes left, folks, because the debate's going to start. We want to get off and watch the debate. Thomas Patrick, go ahead. Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I'm part of this dream team with Kevin Reed and Bob Randall, my boys. This is just amazing to connect with you guys. And Derek, like you say, it just trickles right on down to therapists. So there's a never-ending money line that everybody has their hand in a cookie jar. Going back to what we talked about earlier was the 80-20 split with the kids. In my case, and I'm sure a lot of guys can relate to it, my daughter was 9 years old. She would run to the car. My son would be confused at the every other weekend picking him up, and he would stay in my ex's car, and I would say to my son, "Please get my car," and he'd say, "I don't have my stuff," and I'd say, "Well, I'll buy you your clothes or whatever we need. Just come in the car." Now he's confused. He gets in my car. He starts crying. I'm crying. The mom's yelling, "Get back in the car," to my son. I won't say his name, but he gets in the car. He's crying. I'm saying, "Look what you're doing to him." And she's saying, "Oh, I'm going to call the cops." So this was like at the beginning of the every other weekend thing. So what happens there is, and I kind of regret this, is I feel so sorry for my son, and I'm afraid of what my ex is going to do more, that my son goes back with her. And when I'm driving back with my daughter tells me, "Oh, Mom said that if he stays with her, she'll buy him Legos." Legos, video games, and all that. So to touch on that was that, not only do we lose that 80-20, it's actually worse than that, because they're coerced into more time with the mom or the dad, whoever's doing this evil thing, playing God, I call it, but they have no right. So actually, like with my son, I've hardly ever seen him. And he says he loves me and stuff, but I like.
When was the last time you saw your son now?
Almost a year ago.
Wow.
We went to actually no, like 6 months ago we went to a Red Sox game in Boston. But that day is fine. But before that, it was another 6 months before that. And to talk about what somebody else said earlier, that the child will be loyal to where they poop and eat. That's basically the bottom.
Thomas, what state and what county are you in?
I'm north of Boston.
North of Boston, okay.
Essex County.
When I have a master's minor in child developmental psychology, and I learned through my studies in school at Florida A&M University, the Master's of Applied Social Science program, that when you see a child in the situation of the breakup between the parents, the parent that the child gravitates to is more than likely the alienating parent. Why? Because the child sees this parent as the one that if they don't cling to them and convince them that they're the best parent and they love them, then they have a fear that they've seen what they can do to you. They've seen what they've said to about you to others, and they don't want to be next in line. So they're trying to protect that parent, and it's not really protecting them, but they're trying to show this other parent, the alienating parent, that please don't do that to me because look, I love you. You don't have to do that to me. I'm with you. I'm on your side. And then the other parent, who's the alienated parent, is left out feeling like my child has been turned against me. That my child, when he's with his mom, I have him 50-50, but when his mom, he doesn't tell me I love you over the phone. He says that he's scared to say that because he doesn't want to make his mom upset. So he's really protecting the mom and protecting her feelings so that she doesn't leach out at him because he's seen what happens to me and he doesn't want it to happen to him.
Yeah, that's where the loyalty
Matthew
lies.
Dodson?
Yeah, I was going to say you're absolutely right. It's called attachment suppression, and the child is trained to conform to the expectations of the alienating parent in order to secure what is left of their attachment. It's a sick, incestuous kind of scenario.
Sick. Mr. Smith, you have a question, and then Bogdan Lindell next. And we're coming short, guys. We usually let it go over an hour, but I want to watch our new Mr. President Kamala Harris speak. But go ahead, Mr. Smith. There you go. Unmute yourself. What city and what state are you on, Mr. Smith? Unmute. Okay, while he gets it together, we'll go to Bogdan and then Marcelo Prado. Go ahead, Bogdan. Unmute and speak. Count me in. Let's see if I can make it to Washington D.C. and help and be a part of the. Okay, I'll share an email list with you. No problem. Mr. Smith, are you unmuted and ready? No, he's got to figure that out. Marcelo Prado, go ahead, Mr. Marcelo, my fellow mediator. I'm a mediator certified by the Florida Supreme Court, and so is Mr. Marcelo Prado. Go ahead and unmute Marcelo and ask your question. In the meanwhile, while he's doing that, I just want to invite everybody to be a part of the Good Dad Act committee. Go to www.gooddadact.com. You can become a member. We're here every Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. We have different attorneys come on and speak to us, different guests, like we have now 3 guests tonight, or actually 4 guests. Actually 5 guests, and we are here to help you if you need consultation and how to get motivated and lose the fear of going to court, how to learn how to talk in mediation, what you need to ask for, how do you prepare mediation. We do have a consulting opportunity for you to help you on the gooddadact.com website. I encourage you to get the book. We wrote a book about the ordeal. We've talked about many of the dads that you see here tonight. Their stories in the book. It's called Ethan's Good Dad Act. It's #1 in Amazon in 2 genres, in child advocacy and divorce and family law. So you can go to ethansgooddadact.com to get the book, or you can straight to Amazon to get the book. And we welcome you to be a part of this process and invite others to come and join the movement to get this law passed. House Bill 775, the Good Dad Act, in every state of the country. We've submitted this bill now to the U.S. Virgin Islands, New York, New Jersey, Georgia, North Carolina, Maryland, Indiana, Iowa, Alabama, Arizona, and counting. Go ahead, Marcelo.
Dr. Bernard, thank you. And also thank you for always giving guidance to the parents how to act smarter and not letting their emotions taking over their decisions, but instead looking for support, looking to knowledge. And those are the tools that is going to make a fair parenting on the United States and changing laws. Kevin, I commend you for the work and your Bogdan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right. You assistant here. The two of you. I commended you guys. Every other dad that is here, Matthew. The explanation you gave to us, it was wonderful. Now going into this. The story is a little bit different, but you can see children suffer from the events that take place between mom and dad getting divorced and someone having some mental issues. The standard in Florida for you to get somebody to be evaluated psychologically, it's kind of high. And I'll tell you what happened in my situation. The mother was calling the police on the child. The mother was fighting with the child. The mother was doing all kinds of things. And it got to the point that it was bad. I went to court. The court actually slapped me with attorney fees. I was representing myself in the court. The attorney prepared the order for the judge, and he even put it on the order that I was practicing law without a license. Wow. Which it was a tremendous travesty of injustice that occurred there. So the stories that you guys, people went to jail and all of this, if you tell other people out there, they just think you are a parent and you are cuckoo. You're not, it's not right. There's something that is off on you. And they don't believe it is true. Until it happens to someone that is really close to them or related to them. So it's important that everybody expose every injustice, that everybody to themselves in with tools that you are here today and you are learning from very special people here today. Get those information, get in contact. If you're going to put a book out, put a book out there and bring it in so that people can see that the United States of America, the land of opportunity, have a court system that needs to be fixed, okay? I'm working on that as well, that I'm collecting data and information from other countries and other jurisdictions to show that United States have a very unfair system for the parents. When I say the parents, it's not only the father. There's mothers as well that fall into the trap, okay? So with that said, guys, let's do this together. And let's, be focused and pray that we are going to bring equal justice for all of us, parents that love our children and want to build our treasures memories with them. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marcelo, for those kind words. And you're absolutely correct in what you're saying. Mr. Reed, give us a way for people to get in touch with you. Is there a website? Is there a phone number? Unmute yourself and let us know. You're muted.
Absolutely. Let me first and foremost say thank you again for even providing this platform. And I know we're about a couple minutes into the debate, so I got it over my shoulder too. Yeah. But real fast, let me just say, first and foremost, amendment28campaign.org. Everything from the language of the event to Mr. Hurt, I forget. I don't know if he told you guys, but he's one of the featured speakers. But we have amendment28campaign.org. Dr. Bernard, I will give you my personal number, but let me make sure everyone, you can text me.
I'm gonna give you mine. 786.
You're live.
That's okay. 786-486-7217. 786.
All right. I'll shoot you a text from my personal number, but the number to text is on the website also. But for everybody else, 857-400-9133. Just text it. Hey, I saw you with Dr. Bernard or whatever. I'll give you a call right away. One of the things that I want to do is connect with like-minded people. There's 3 events happening that Friday. Of course, the demonstration of love where fathers are teaching young men how to tie ties, change a tire, all of that, showcasing what is missed, right? We also have Daddy Movie Night on that National Mall. I just want to thank Tom and Bogdan, who's helping to organize that. But what Bogdan said is true. Dr. Bernard, you've passed state legislation. We'd be remiss if we didn't send that invitation as we go to lawmakers in the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. Marcelo, I believe you also had Matthew on here. These are the invitations that have to go out. And just to connect with you guys offline, A lot of you parents online, offline, Lisa, obviously a featured speaker. We need to go to that event, which is only going to be about 100 people, where we're going and talking to the lawmakers about the passage of a constitutional amendment. Needs to be done with people that has the temperament and the vision of making sure that this doesn't happen for any of our children, because that is who we're changing this law for, not us.
Absolutely. And let's just take one question from Mr. Smith. I think he figured out how to turn off his unmute himself. Go ahead and real quick ask your question, Mr. Smith, because we're about to end this, okay?
Yeah, I had to reset. I'm sorry. Hey, I just had a question. What kind of we go to legislators to try to pass these things, but some of the legislators are involved in the process. Like in my case, the senator was the judge's husband in my case, and my ex, she worked for the congressman. He just passed away a few weeks ago. Now she's running for Congress. So it's a lot of politics involved, and it's hurting my case. And I've gone to news stations. If I do though, it's going to hurt my case even more. So I'm just trying to see like what can we do past that, and then additionally with the Title 4D, what court do you take them to if you want to try to take them to court for? Is that federal court or civil court?
Well, let me answer that question. It's twofold. First of all, you mentioned that there are lawmakers who are profiting off of the system. Let me make sure I make this clear. Lawmakers, judges, lawyers, therapists are all profiting off of this. But if I'm not mistaken, there were people profiting off of slavery. There were people profiting off of women's suffrage. There was people profiting off of segregation. It didn't change the fact that when the generation said, we're going to break the silence and say enough is enough, that those people had to find another way to make money. So I want to make sure I emphasize something to you, that there's always going to be people that resist. But if I may quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Yes, this is a long fight, and you're right. You go to state legislatures, they probably don't even understand the problem, but we're going to our federal lawmakers to make an amendment to say, you cannot do this in a family court. You cannot do that. And that doesn't exist in America right now. The second thing, real fast, because I know Dr. Bernard, you're ready to go and watch your debate.
I'm a national delegate, so I'm supposed to be watching and supporting.
I understand.
So look, I'm gonna say this. Like, we do this every Tuesday. There's a lawyer on, and they always say, like, this is just basic information. This doesn't, say that this is your case or whatever. And the same way with Dr. Bernard and Kevin. So if you guys want to leave, I understand. If there's some fathers that want to stay, we can stay and we can continue the conversation. And it has nothing to do with you guys. You guys are unaffiliated, whatever. This is just our conversation.
And listen, I'd like to invite you. How about this? Let's just come on next week, next Tuesday, 8 o'clock. We'll pick up where we left off. Next Tuesday, 8 o'clock. We'll do it. I think we have an attorney come on, but she'll share the space with us, and we can pick up where we left off and talk some more and promote some more this event on the 27th, 20th. Is that a good deal? 8 o'clock next Tuesday, same bat channel, same bat place, right here. We're gonna have more people on next week. And I want to thank Jerron Hurt. He's going through a lot. He's missed his twins. He's done a lot to showcase his twins over the years, not to exploit his children, but to show the love and compassion they have for one each other, the compassion he has as a father, and to share the love and the spirit of happiness that a family should be. And because some folks saw that and saw that to be jealous and were envious of him, they removed those kids from him unfairly. He's not saying it. I'm saying it. I don't have a gag order on me. It won't stop me from my First Amendment rights right now to talk about it. I witnessed what was going on with him, and it's wrong. I've been to Maryland to help support his situation, and I'm here to speak for him. And then, he didn't have any allegations against him. No domestic violence allegations, no police reports. Not one time has the police ever been called on him, nor did they need to be called upon him. But when he decided to step up as a dad and stop the atrocities from happening in front of his children, then He went to a court system, and because the mother in Maryland is the natural guardian of the child, just like other states, they took advantage of him and took advantage of his children. More importantly, this is not about Jerron; it's about his kids, the kids that have now lost touch of a great father that helped them on their way of life in their formative years. The kids are small, cute little boys, smart, intelligent little boys, compassionate little boys, and now he doesn't have that. They don't have him. It's wrong. We do what we can to embrace him. He's got stuff on his page. You want to go to this page, The Hurt Story. Thank you for watching us tonight, folks. Thank you, Mr. Bogdan Lindell, for coming. Thank you, Kevin Reed. Thank you, Matthew Dotson. This invitation is for you to come back too, so we can talk more about the hope and darkness and the great work you're doing for fathers and families around the country. And thank you, Mr. Thomas Fitzpatrick. My name is Bernard Jennings with the Good Dad Act. We're at www.gooddadact.com. I encourage you to get the book, ethansgooddadact.com, and have a good evening. Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.